so here we go. All right, so those of you that are doing this with me, make sure you have Code Avengers open. And honestly, this is the best way to do it, because that way, when I'm finished, whether it takes us 2 days, 3 days, however long it takes us, you will be finished and you can turn it in. Now, again, I know that some of you like to work ahead, and that's fine. Please do not be working on EverFi though, okay? Any of you that are working on digital wellness or financial literacy, I'm going to ask you to close that up. You need to finish that for homework or during RTI, okay? All right, so we start off lesson 11 with getting some just kind of definitions, kind of reminding us of HTML and CSS. It says HTML defines the content of a web page, and then there is a separate language called CSS, which stands for Cascading Style Sheet, defines how it looks. So a lot of this lesson today that we're going to work on is we're going to be using CSS to style a page. It says in lessons 1 through 10, you wrote HTML, you added some style to your page in lesson 2.5 by linking to a Code Avengers CSS page that they created for us. In lessons 11 through 20, you will create your own CSS code. Okay, so I'm going to close that. Okay, so first thing it tells us to do, remember we want to always read the lesson first and then come down to the section that tells us what to do. All right, so it says over the next 10 lessons, we'll learn how to write our own CSS code to style pages. Lessons 11 and 12 use these 3 headings to make the code easier to understand. But if you remember, in one of the sections, I think it was one of the sections 6 through 10, they told us that these headings are optional and we're not going to use them with HTML5, okay? But they're saying to make the code easier to understand, they're going to leave it in there, okay? All right, so I'm going to actually put a blank line in between these though. Here's our head section, okay? This section here doesn't show on the web page. The only thing that actually, the visible part of the web page is what's in the body. So here's my body open tag, there's my body close tag, okay? And then all of this content in between is what shows up. So we got an H1, we got a couple of paragraph tags, we've got our unordered bulleted list, and then we have our list items, okay? So that's what we have so far. All right, so number 1 says, make the heading smaller by 1 level, all right? So the heading, I've got H1 here. So how would we make it smaller by 1 level? Instead of using H1, we would use what? H2, okay? So I'm gonna go and change my H1 to H2, and then my closing tag to H2, okay? So there's the first thing we've got to do, all right? Easy, right? All right, number 2, change the list from an unordered list to an ordered list. Now, one thing that I like is that Code Avengers gives you the lesson that you need to reference. So if any of you are doing it by yourself, you're like, I can't remember how do I change an unordered list to an ordered list? This tells you to go back to 8.4, lesson 8.4, and it will show you how to do an ordered list, okay? All right, so let's move back over here. All right, so here's my unordered list tag, UL. If I want to change that to an ordered list, how do I change it? It's an OL, I heard somebody say it, okay? So we're going to change the U to an O on the, well, I guess I have to just do it like that. I was going to try to move it. So there's my open tag with an OL, and then my closing tag has to be an OL. Notice all those little X's that popped up when you've got an OL opening tag and a UL ending tag. We had 3 X's that popped up. Okay. Now, Haley, are you doing this with me? Or are you working on something else? What are you working on? Don't work on EverFi. Work on this. Do this with me. You can do the EverFi for homework or RTI. Okay, do these lessons with me. That way you don't have to come back and watch the videos. You know how you watched the videos last time and it was confusing? If you do it with me, you'll have no problems. Okay. All right. Please, again, let me repeat, no one work in EverFi. Thank you very much. Please do not work in EverFi. I need everybody in Code Avengers today. Whether you're working with me or you're working on your own, everyone in Code Avengers. Okay. All right. We've just started the first lesson. Okay. So we made the heading smaller by one level by changing it from an H1 to H2. Number two, we changed the list from an unordered list to an ordered list by changing the UL to an OL. And then number three says remove the linked tag on line 5 so that you can add your own CSS style code. So let's go up here and look at line 5. Now line 5 is going to be in the head section. Remember, we don't normally use these tags, but just to kind of make things more simple, they're going to keep all those in there. So I'm going to go to line 5. That's where it's linking this HTML page to the CSS page that Code Avengers did for us. Okay, and we're going to get rid of that because we're going to create our own link later on. Okay, I'm actually going to just leave that spot there because we'll put in a new one later. All right. Then number 4, click check when you're done. So we are through with 11.1. So I'm going to check it, and it tells me that 11.1 is complete, and I'm ready to go to the next one. Did you get caught up real quick? Okay. All right, everybody good with 11.1? All right, 11.2, add internal CSS. So it says there's 2 ways to write CSS code. One is using internal CSS code where we do the style and the style. And here's an example of that. Okay, this is called internal CSS. The second way is to put CSS directly into your HTML code in between the style tag. So actually, I said that wrong. So the first way would be writing your own CSS page, okay, and using the link tag. The second one is adding the style, okay. HTML files have 2 sections, the head and the body. The style tag containing the CSS go in the head section. And that's one of the reasons that they wanted to keep the head and the body sections so that you didn't accidentally put that CSS style code in the body, because it has to go up here in the top. Okay, it has to be in this section. The CSS style sheet, the internal can't be down here. Okay, has to be in the head. If you put it in the wrong place, it's not going to work. Okay. All right, so let's look at number 1. Number 1 says add the following CSS code to the head section of your HTML code. So I'm going to go where my ending head tag is, and I'm going to press enter. I'm going to press enter a couple of times to get some blank space up there. And right there, I am going to insert that. Okay. So there's my, and I guess it really wants us to indent it. I'm not going to indent it. I'm going to put a blank line. I'm just going to leave it because it's usually always on the left margin. Okay. All right. So did everybody get that added? Again, make sure it's between your open and your closing head section. Read all that right here. Just want one blank line between it. Okay. So there's my open head section and there's my closing. Make sure it's in between that, because if it's in the wrong place, like I said, it will not work. Okay. All right. So this is a style sheet, and let's just kind of review the rules. Okay. This is the way you write a CSS rule. The part that's in red, let me make this a little bit larger. The part that's in red, that's called your selector. Okay. That's what object are you wanting to write code for? Okay. That can be HTML. It can be a P for paragraph. It can be your H1. Any object in your page, any tag can be a selector. Okay. So you have your selector and then a space, then you have that open curly brace. Then on the next line indented, you have your properties. So this one is going to change the background color to green of everything. HTML is the whole page. So the background of the entire page is going to be green. The text color, okay, the property is color. The property value is red. So that's going to change all of my text to red. So I want you to understand the rule, because you're going to have to write rules. So you have to know, okay, what's going to be my selector? What properties am I going to use? The property is always followed by a colon. The property value is always followed by a semicolon. All right. So again, property value, property name here, colon, property value, semicolon. And then at the end of the rule, you have that closing curly brace on a line all by itself on the left margin. If you have multiple rules, you need to put a blank line between each of the rules. Okay, so that's just a little bit of a review. All right, so number 2 says change the CSS to make the background color blue. And then number 3, change the CSS to make the text color yellow. Okay, so let's go do those 2 changes. All right, so background color, you can see now, my background color is green, my text color is red. So we're going to change the background color. Take that one. We're going to change the background color to blue. And we're going to change the text color to yellow. Okay. The colors of my high school. Okay. That I went to when I graduated. Okay. Any questions on that? All we did, we inserted a rule to our code. Make sure it's in the head section. We changed the background color property to blue and the text color property to yellow. Any questions, those of you that are doing this with me? Remember, you don't have to do it with me. You can do it. You're free to do it on your own. There's some videos in there that will help you, but I just think this is the easiest way to do it. All right, I'm going to check that. Should say that it's complete. Any questions before I move to the next one? All right. 11.3, CSS rules. Now let's take a closer look at this rule. And again, it goes over what I just reviewed with you. It goes over the selector, okay? Gives your definition there. It's the part of the page that's styled according to that rule. And then it tells you about the property names and the property values, again, that I just reviewed with you, okay? All right, now to make the text easier to read, this is number 1. Let's set the background color to dark blue. Notice how these colors are written, all right? If it's a 2-word like dark blue, light red, light green, it's going to start with, this is called camel casing. The first word is going to start with a lowercase letter. The second word is going to start with a capital letter. All one word together though, no spaces, no underscores or anything, like you would do with Python. But make sure that that's the way you write them, okay? So we're going to change the background color to dark blue. So let's go back over here to our CSS rule. So I'm going to change it to dark blue, D-A-R-K, and then capital B. And then what color does it tell us to change the text color to light yellow? Okay. I didn't really have any problems reading it the other way, but apparently if you use a darker color as a background, a lighter color as your text color, or vice versa. Use a really light color as a background and a dark color as your text, okay? Is usually the general rules, okay? Any questions about number 1 and number 2? Number 3, change the CSS selector from HTML to OL to see what happens, okay? So our selector is HTML, so they said change it to OL and see what happens. So now, if I change my selector, I'm not changing the properties of the whole page. I'm changing just the properties of the ordered list. So what you should see is now our ordered list here is the only thing that has that background color and that text color. Okay. Says then change the CSS selector from OL to H2. Okay, and now you see that the heading that we have here, now it has the background color and the text color. Okay, so that's how you control your styling. And if you were creating a page from scratch for a friend or a company or something, you would work with that person to ask them what their opinions are, their preferences on how the page is styled. Okay, and it really does matter because I'm sure we've all looked at pages that something really catches our eye, and that's the purpose of the web pages anyway, to be informative and to be kind of pleasing to the eye. Okay. All right, so have I done everything here? Yes, I've done everything here. They don't tell us to change it back. So right now we're just going to leave it the way it is. We're going to check it, and 11.3 is complete. Any questions on that? Those of you doing this with me. Okay. Now again, this is the easiest way to get these lessons done. I was really kind of disappointed last grading period at the people that never turned in lessons, never completed them. When I stand in front of you and I do every single lesson and give you the opportunity to follow along with me and do them. So still I feel like some of you are not taking advantage of that opportunity, but that's on you. Okay. All right, 11.4, CSS rule that starts with HTML will set the style of the whole web page. A rule that starts with H2 will only set the style of the level 2 heading. And then a rule that starts with either OL or P will change ordered list and paragraphs. So here they kind of give us something new. So let's take a look at it, okay? We've tried both of these. We did the HTML and we did the H2, but this is some new information. What if you want to do the same formatting to multiple selectors, okay? They're showing us that we can do that, but the way we format it is we put the first selector on one line, the first selector on one line here, okay? Then a comma, and then the second one goes on the next line. And you can do lots of them. There's things that we're going to do that we might have 4 selectors. But you're going to have the first one, comma, the next line, the second one, comma, the next one, third line, comma, the next one, fourth line, comma. There is a format, there is a syntax for how you are supposed to do these. Okay? All right. So number 1, we're going to probably put that in practice. It says change your CSS code so that it sets both the level 2 heading and the paragraph background color to indigo. Set the level 2 heading and the paragraph text color to yellow green. Okay, so let's see if I can make this a little bit larger as I do it. So the H2 and the paragraph, right? Yes. Okay, so I already have an H2. So I'm going to put a comma by my H2. I'm going to press enter and I'm going to do my paragraph. Now I still need a space between that selector and the curly brace. Okay. So all I did, I went to my H2, I added a comma, pressed enter, put paragraph tag on the next line, got a space before my curly brace. Okay. Background color, it said indigo. Am I right? Indigo, I-N-G-I-G-O. And then I can't remember the color it said. What color did it say? Indigo and yellow green. Ooh, that's a combination. Yellow green. Yellow. Okay. All right, so let's see what that looks like. So background color, change it to indigo. Okay, so now if you look at your phone display, you see that my H1 and my 2 paragraphs there. The background color is indigo. It's kind of a purple color. And my text color is yellow green. Okay. I feel like that's a football team. Football team has those colors. All right, any questions on that one? All right, let's check it. It says that it's complete. All right, lesson 11.5, multiple rules. Because right now we've only written one rule. We have this rule here for H2 and a paragraph. All right, says you can add more CSS to control different properties of each element. The properties must all go inside the curly braces of the CSS rules. You can also apply the rules to multiple elements, just separate them with a comma. Okay, now here, I don't know exactly why it changed my code, but you really should have that on a separate line, so I'm going to change that. For example, the following code has two rules. Lines 5 through 7 set the background color of the heading. That's down here. Lines 1 through 3 set the background color for the rest of the page. That's lines 1 through 3 here. Okay, let me move this up a little bit. Okay, so here are the two examples that they're showing you. Notice there is a blank line between the two rules, and I'm going to ask you guys to please do that. It makes it a lot easier for me to look at your code and help you troubleshoot the code if you have a blank line between all of your CSS rules. Okay? All right, so let's look at number one. Number one, change the existing CSS rule so that it makes the background color of the heading and the list hot pink. Okay, so right now I've got my heading and my paragraphs, but they want me to do my list. So I'm going to change that P to a what? What should it be changed to? An OL, exactly. Okay, so now my list are the two things that are styled over there on my phone. But it said make the background color hot pink. So I'm going to go change that indigo. There's my hot pink. Okay. Now it doesn't say anything about changing the text color, so I'm assuming we leave that like it is. Now number 2 says add a new CSS rule to make the background color of the rest of the page light blue. So if I want to do something for the whole rest of my page, what selector do I use? Yes, ma'am, McKinley. HTML. That's exactly right. Okay. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to go to the bottom of my, let me make this a little bit larger so you guys can see all the way in the back. I'm going to go to where my curly brace ended, which was here. I pressed enter 2 times to get me here because now I want to do a new rule, HTML. Okay. Normally you alphabetize all of your selectors and normally you alphabetize all the properties within the rule. So I'm going to try to do that sometimes. I forget and I just stick one in there. So I'm assuming HTML comes after H2. So we're going to put it right below it, not above it. Okay. So I've got HTML. I'm going to press the space. I'm going to do my curly brace. I'm going to press enter. Let me go back. Add a new CSS rule to make the background color of the rest of the page light blue. Okay, so my property is background color. So background, and that's hyphenated. So I'm going to type in background color. I'm going to put that colon there, and then a space, and it said light blue. And then after light blue, I'm going to put my semicolon. I'm going to press my enter. I'm going to hit my backspace. And that's where I'm going to do my closing curly brace. Let me make this larger. I'm going to highlight it so you guys can see that's the 3 lines of code that I added. All right. I put a blank line after that first rule that was there. HTML is my selector. That's what I'm writing the rule for because I want to change the rest of the page, the background color of the rest of the page. I've got my open curly brace. Then on the next line, I've got my background color, which is my property. I've got a semicolon there. Then a space. Make sure you put a space after that semicolon. This is my property value, light blue, with the V being capitalized. And then after my value, I have semicolon. Press enter. I close my rule. with a closing curly brace. And y'all, please try to put that under the H. You'll have to hit your backspace, but those ending curly braces should be on your left margin. Again, it just makes it easier to read. Okay? Any questions on that one? I think that's all there was to this page. Let me look. So, oh, no. Almost forgot 3. All right, number 3 says set the text color in each rule to any color that you like. Click here for a list of color names, okay? Now, I have a text color in this rule, but I do not have a text color, so I'm going to go copy that. I'm going to add that property and value here, and then you can change it because you cannot see that. That is so ugly. That light green, yellow, whatever it is, on that blue, that is horrible. So this is your opportunity to change that color and change this color to anything that you like. And if you click over here where it says click here for a list of the color names, if you click there, you can see, can I move this whole thing? Yes. There's all the colors that your HTML compiler recognizes by name. Now later we're going to learn how to do RGB values. Leah, you working on this with me? Or are you working ahead? Are you working on this? What you working on? Huh? Okay, so you're ahead of me. Okay, that's fine. All right, so here's all the ones again that you're recognized by name. And later, like I said, we will get all kinds of shades and colors using RGB values, but until we get there, we're kind of limited to this. I used to know what this number was right off the top of my head, but I can't remember. But you have this many colors to choose from by name. Okay. So on my, I'm gonna try on this light blue, I'm gonna try a dark color. So let's see. Let's try navy. So I'm gonna, on the one that has the blue background, for my text color, I'm gonna put navy. Okay, I'm okay with that. I really kind of like the pink and green, but let's try white. Let's see what that looks like. Not the best, but I'm just gonna stick with that. Don't spend too much time trying to find colors. Okay. So does everybody have a color that you chose for the heading and the ordered list and the rest of the page? Yes, sir. Question? Okay, hold on 1 second. Let me pause this. Okay, all right, so let's check this. And we got it right. If you were doing this on your own, you can play the little game. Anybody play those? Anybody? No? I'm just kind of curious what they are. I don't think I've ever gone in and played them. Okay, so let's go on to 12. All right. Incorrect selector names. Now, remember our selectors are what's red, and it's any part of the page that you want to style, okay? So let's make this a little bit larger. It says, in this lesson, you will practice finding bugs or mistakes in CSS code. Each task has 2 CSS bugs. The code in the editor contains both HTML and CSS code. The code on line 6 to 14 between the style tags are our CSS. So that's this part. Oh, I already see one error already. Okay. And then this just kind of breaks it down to what's the rule, what does line 11 do, what does line 12 do, what does line 13 do. So this is a really good review if you want to take the time to read over this. I'm going to move on down to the actual task because I feel like I've tried to go over that, you know, a lot and kind of review with you. So number 1 says, click example to see what the page should look like. Okay, so go over here, click on the example. So that's what the page should look like. It should have, I'm assuming that's a black or a dark green background. We've got some background colors for our H1. We've got some text colors for our paragraph and our list. But then if we click on my page, I don't have any CSS rules being applied, okay? So number 2 says, look at the code and fix a bug on line 6. So what's wrong with line 6? That was the first one I saw. Stuck out like a sore thumb. Right, yeah, both of y'all are saying the same thing. This should be HTML, okay? And that's the way I want you guys to get with debugging your code. When you see something and you're like, that is wrong. That just, like I said, stuck out like a sore thumb to me, okay? So that should be HTML, okay? The second one says fix another bug on line 11, okay? Now, line 11, when you first look at it, you're like, okay, it's an H2. I don't see anything wrong. There is a such thing as an H2. But look at the rest of your code. Why is that an error? Why is H2 an error? Huh? Right, the rest of it uses H1. So nowhere in the code down here is there an H2. Okay, so we're going to change our H2 to H1. Okay, and we're going to check those because each lesson has 2 bugs. Now our page looks the way the example page looks, and y'all get in the habit of comparing them. Look at the example page and see what it's supposed to look like, and then make sure your page is like that. We're going to check it, and it flashed real fast, but it told me that it was correct. So now I can move on to 12.2. Okay, case and brackets. So let's read what they're telling us according to the Google Style Guide. All right. As with HTML tags and attributes, CSS is case insensitive. That means CSS will work even if the text is lowercase, uppercase, or even mixed case. But, okay, next paragraph, however, the Google Style Guide recommends using only lowercase, except for color names which have multiple words. And like I said, that's called camel casing, where the first word is lowercase and then the first letter of the second word is uppercase. Okay. It's also very important to open and close the brackets correctly. All right. So like I said, your code will still work right if the casing. So like Daniel, a while ago when we fixed your word, once you put that T in there, it still would have worked if instead of taking blue to a capital letter, you just left it lowercase. Still would have worked, but that's not what the Google Style Guide recommends. Okay. So number 1 says convert the CSS to all lowercase, like I said, except for colors, and then fix the 2 CSS bugs that have made the text disappear. Okay. So let's look over here. Okay, now the only place I see things are in the rules. Okay, so let's go in here in our 2 rules. So first thing I see is the selector. The selector is all uppercase letters, so we're going to change that to all lowercase letters. There's my HTML. Background color looks good. Black looks good. Here, I've got things in all uppercase again. So we're going to put that in lowercase and tan, all lowercase. Okay. Now on the UL, I don't know why that's not red. Oh, I know why it's not red. Okay. Because I was looking at this and I'm like, wow, that's a selector. It's supposed to be red. Why is it not red? Exactly. We're missing the curly braces up here. Because see, there's my opening and there's my curly braces. That's probably part of question number 2, where it says, why have things disappeared? I don't know. We'll see, because I can't see my phone display right now. Okay, so let's fix this one. So now my UL is red, the way it's supposed to, but everything is red. All right. My property should be blue, and I should have some color. I'm not sure why black is green and tan is not. I don't see another error. Does anybody see another error? I'm not sure, but I think it happens a lot. I think sometimes some of those colors turn green and some of the colors are black, isn't it? Right there, we're missing the bracket. Is that what you said? Yeah. Right here, we're missing the curly brace. So let's put in the curly brace. Now we got all this mixed case. So I'm just going to retype the whole word. I can just retype the whole word faster than I can go change all those uppercase letters to lowercase letters. So background color, and then my wheat color over here. I need to get it all lowercase. Okay. This is black. Can you see an error in mine anywhere? I feel like I'm missing something. Okay, let me look and see if everything shows up on the page. All right, so I'm going to click on the example. That's the way the example looks. My page looks just like that. I'm just concerned why this curly brace here is black and not purple. Background color. I'm checking all the spelling now. Color tan, color colon, black, semicolon, semicolon, open, close, ultra close. It's just like that? Okay. All right, so we fixed the two bugs that made the text disappear. So now we can check it. And it flashed really fast that 12.2 was correct. Any questions on this? Has everybody got this one? Okay, all you have to do is raise your hand and say, wait a minute, or I got a problem, and I will wait. Okay, all right, lay out CSS rules nicely. And CSS spaces and new lines can be removed, and the CSS will still work. However, the Google Style Guide recommends laying out your code nicely as on lines 16 through 14. Okay, let's look at 16. Whoa. Recommends laying out your code nicely as on 6 to 14. 6 to 14. Okay, so that one looks good. That one I've got everything. My curly braces are back on the left. They're aligned with my selector. I got a blank line in between, but I have a feeling this is the one that we need to fix. So it says fix the layout on line 16 and then fix the bugs on line 6 through 14. Oh, excuse me. Okay. So there, this would work. Okay, the code would work. It's just not laid out nicely according to the Google Style Guideline. So let's fix it. So let's go here to the UL. Let's press a space to get a space between the selector and the curly brace. Let's go over here to background color and press, excuse me, enter. We need a space here in front of indigo. We need a space before the word gold. And we need to, now when you press enter to get that curly brace on the next line, it's going to keep it indented, but we don't want it indented. So we hit the backspace and that takes it to the next, it takes it and aligns it with the UL. So let me make this a little bit larger. Yeah. Okay, so this, let me highlight it. This is the one that we changed the format to. Okay, would have worked in one single line, but that's not the way Google Style Guide tells us that we should do it. Also, I think there's a quiz, or maybe it's another lesson that it will mark it wrong if you do not have your spacing exactly the way it is on the board. Okay, you have to have a space after the selector. These two are indented. You need a space after the colon, and this curly brace needs to be on the left margin aligned with the selector. And if you don't, it will mark it wrong. Okay, so now it says fix the bugs on line 6 to 14. So 6 to 14. All right. Does it tell us how many? Nope, it just says fix the bug. So let's look at 6 to 14. Here's all of our rules. See color? There, I guess that's the New Zealand way that you spell color. Is that the only thing that you saw? Okay, so let's change word color. But you know, in some of the lessons, the part that's over here on the left, it seems like I've seen them use that word for color. So that kind of threw me for a minute. Like, there's several words that they use a different spelling than we do. But I think that's the only thing too that I see.
Pardon the interruption. At this time, juniors from the academic award ceremony are returning to class. Again, the juniors from the academic award ceremony are returning to class now. Thank you.
So let's check it and see. Let me check it before you check it. Yeah, so that's what it was. Okay, so it was just the word color, had the different spelling, so we got rid of those U's and it worked fine. Okay, so let's go to the next question. Yours didn't. All right, let me pause this. Okay, so we checked 12.3. We're going to go next. All right, 12.4, CSS format bugs. As well as brackets, CSS uses a lot of punctuation. Characters like a colon, which is the 2 dots, and a semicolon, which is the dot and the comma up under. It's important to write these correctly too. So number 1 says add the missing character. Number 2, add the missing character. Down here, looking at the tips, there's 2 selectors that set the style of the whole page, HTML and body. The HTML selector sets the style of everything in between HTML and HTML. The body selector selects the style of everything in between body and body. So that's kind of important to know when you want to do the whole page. So I don't think what would be up there that we would style. I guess maybe the way something is formatted on the tab. So like if you did HTML, even the title that shows up on the tab of your web browser would be styled. If you just use body, that wouldn't be. That's really the only thing that I see. And the reason you would use HTML instead of body. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Okay, well, let's see. Since everything in HTML code that is shown on a web page is inside the body tags, these selectors do almost exactly the same thing. You will learn the small difference in a later lesson. Okay, so that's coming up. All right, so missing characters on lines 6 and 8. Okay, do y'all see it? You see what's missing between 6 and 8? What's missing? The 2 dots. The colon should be right there by the property name color. Okay, make sure you have that space in between, because Elijah's while ago, it was marking his wrong because he didn't have that space after the colon. Okay, so that's that character. Now lines 15 to 17. So let's look at 15 to 17. What's missing there? Now the colon, but the semicolon, right, after white. So go here after the value for the background color, that should be a semicolon. Okay. So we put a colon after our property names. We put semicolon after our property values. All right. And I think that's all for that one. So these are short. These aren't taking us a long time. So it said 12.4 was complete, super fast. We're going to hit next. All right, 12.5, remove optional tags and spelling. In lessons 1 to 10, we didn't use the HTML, the head, and the body tags. If you don't have these tags, your web browser will pretend that they're there, and your code still works the same. Remember to check the spelling of your CSS properties and the values and all the punctuation characters. Okay, so number 1 on 12.5 tells us to get rid of the HTML tags, the body tags, and the head tags. Okay, so I'm going to go get rid of the HTML first, open tag. I'm going to get rid of the head open tag. Leave all that, leave all that, leave all that. Okay, now on line 20, I'm going to get rid of the head closing tag. On line 21, I'm going to get rid of the open body tag. And then down here at the very bottom, I'm going to get rid of the closing body tag that's on line 33. And I'm going to get rid of the closing HTML tag that's on line 34. Okay. Now, like it said, when we run this code, the compiler pretends that it's there. It knows what's supposed to be in the head tag, and it knows what's supposed to be in the body tag. That's why on some of you, when we did lessons 1 through 10, some of you had your link, some of you had your title in the body tag, and when you started doing those section tags, remember that lesson where you had to add section tags? You were getting it marked wrong because you had code in the wrong sections. Okay. Number 2 says fix the spelling in the second CSS rule. So let's go find the second. So body is my first one. Here's my second one. What's something that's misspelled there? Somebody just shout it out. Huh? The color? Okay. Light yellow. All right. What is it missing? It's missing an L. Yellow is YELLOW. Let's add the L there. All right. Add the missing character in the last CSS rule. Okay, so my last CSS rule is here. Oh, that's a good one. What's missing on that one? A comma. Where should the comma be? In front of or after the H1. Right there. You know, in front of and behind and stuff, I have realized that we perceive that differently because I've had students before, like I think that's after the H1, but some people think that's in front of it, and I get it. I understand exactly why it's in front of it because it's in front of the one. So I never knew that till we all had different perceptions of that until coding and trying to help students place their cursor in the right spot. See, I would think in front of would be back here, but you know, like I said, we just perceive it different, and that's fine. There's no right or wrong there. It's just a different perception. All right, so let's check this. It told me, I saw it super fast, that 12.5 was correct. Everybody else good on this? Let's try to get a couple of 13 done, so that way we can at least get halfway through. You have a question on yours? Okay, let me pause this. All right, so let's move on to 13.1. If we can get 13.1 and 13.2 done, I'll feel a bit better. Okay. All right, start your business page. Okay, so now we are back to, this should look familiar. Okay, on line 13, we are back to the page that we created in lessons 1 through 10. All right. We got our profile page, we got our likes page. Remember that page we did with the 3 pictures of things we liked? Now we're going to work on this business page. So everyone's going to come up with a business that you want to use for this page. You can make something up if you want to, or if you want to use a company that is already out there, because I think we're going to add things like phone numbers and addresses and their web page, their Facebook page and stuff like that. You can make that up too if you want to. I'm probably going to use Air Adventure Sports, or is it Adventure Air? What is it? Is it Adventure Air or Air Adventure? Adventure Air. Okay. I usually always use that because I'm someone that works there, and do you work there? Okay. I just knew you knew the name. I just usually use it, so I'm going to keep doing it. So choose a business to create a page for. Like I said, you can make something up. It just makes it a little bit harder when you go to find pictures, but you could find random pictures. Okay. All right. So I'm going to do, what did you say it was? Adventure Air? I don't know why that's so hard for me to remember. So it says choose a business. All right. I got my business. On line 1, add the doc type. Now, It's been a while since we've typed that doc type. And if you can't remember, let's click on this and see if it will show us. Yes. All right. So we're going to click on the word doc type. It's going to open up the reference guide. So I am going to copy that doc type. All right. And I'm going to paste it. Whoops. Why did it not paste? Right click. Did I not copy it? Yeah, I copied it. Okay. Now, make sure you're on the business page. We're not on the profile page. We're not on the likes. We're not on the test page. We're on the business tab. Okay. And all we did was copy and paste our doc type from the reference guide. Number 2, add title tags that contain the name of the business. Now, remember, our title tags, this is not going to show up on our phone display. Because the title tag, that would be our H1. Our title tag is what's going to show up on the tab in the browser. So I'm going to add title, air, adventure. No, it's adventure, adventure, air. I'm worried about myself sometimes. Adventure, air, sports, right? I think that's what it is. All right, adventure, air, sports. All right, and then I got to close my title tag. Okay. Then on line 3, add the following code to make your page automatically adjust to the width of each phone. I love that it gives us the meta tag. We do not have to memorize that thing. So I think if I click in this little box, yeah, it copied the whole thing to my clipboard. So I get to paste that in. I do not have to memorize that thing. Although remember, we could go in a reference guide and probably find it and copy and paste it from there if we need to. All right, on lines 4 and 5, add the style start and end tags. Okay, let me make this a little bit bigger just in case. I don't want to make it too big. All right, so here we're still in that head section of our page. So style. There's my opening, and I'm just going to come down here. Well, it actually says 4 and 5, doesn't it? I'll do it exactly the way it tells us. So there's my open style tag. There's my closed style tag. Yeah, make sure I did that right. I was like, do we need angle brackets for that, or do I use the word style? Okay, so if you click on the word style, it gives you an example of a rule. Now, we just did them, so it should still be fresh in your memory. So I'm going to close it. So it says, after the style tags, add, oh, wait a minute, we hadn't done that. Sorry, let's go back up to 6. Inside the style tags, set the background color of the whole page to any of the color names except black or white. All right, so we're going to go between style and style. We're going to set it for the whole page. So which selector is that? What's the selector for the whole page? HTML. Okay. Now I'm going to do my curly brace. Okay. Background color is is the property. Background color. And it says any color except for white or black. And I think right here, color names, I think you can click on the word color names and it'll bring up that chart. I'm going to choose something really light. Beige is a little bit dark, white smoke, ivory, white snow. I like snow. I'm going to use that one. You can use any color you want, but I would use something light. Oops. Okay. All right, so let me make this a little bit larger so you guys can see. So I've got my, inside my style tags, I've got my HTML selector, my curly brace. Background color is my property name. I'm choosing a light color, so I chose snow, and then I've got my ending curly brace. Okay, any questions on that? All right, after the style tag, add a level 1 heading tag that contains the name of the business. All right, now, this is not going to go inside my head section. This would go inside my body section. So I'm going to put my cursor after my closing style tag. I'm going to press enter 2 times to give myself that blank line. All right, and I'm going to do an H1. Adventure, air, sports, or whatever the name of your business is. Okay, that says in a level 1 tag. Then after that, after you get that typed in, number 8 says add a level 3 heading that contains the business slogan or motto. Okay, so I'm going to do my H3. I don't know what their motto is. It's probably something about jumping. But I'm going to actually go to their page. Adventure. Whoops. See if there's anything that looks like a motto. If not, I'll just make it up. Oh, this isn't their web page. Looking to see if anything popped up here. Fun for all ages. I'm just going to pull that. Okay. So on my heading 3, I'm going to do fun for all. I'm going to capitalize all ages. No, I'm going to capitalize fun. All ages. Again, if you're making up a business, just make up some kind of slogan. Oh, I think I need an exclamation point in there. Okay, so let me make this larger. Okay, so let's just review what we've done. We've added our doc type, our title that's going to show up on our tab in our web browser. We added our meta statement. We added our CSS style sheet with 1 rule for our whole page. We added our H1, the name of our business. We added an H3 that has a logo, motto, quote, saying. And if I look at my page, now I can barely kind of tell that that's that snow color. It had just a tinge of pink. That's why I kind of liked it. All right. Everybody that's doing that with me, you've got that far. All right, I'm going to check mine, and that's where we're going to stop today. It said 13.1. So we at least got started on 13. I wanted us to get that far because I was hoping to get this done in 2 days. So we'll see. We'll see if we're able to finish it tomorrow. Yes, sir. Question? Says it's wrong? Okay. Let me stop